Good morning, folks. I just watched a video by the Economic Ninja talking about the trucking industry. Let me tell you something. If you are still of the mind that we are not currently in a recession, let me just make this abundantly clear to you. I am sitting at a dock right now at a normally bustling, huge peanut factory. Okay? Do you see any trucks? All you see is trailers in the door, either being loaded or unloaded. But do you see any trucks? And do you see that the doors that are full, there's only like 6 trailers in the door? I want you to realize that this is striking all across the trucking industry. This is what's going on. Our freight is so slow right now that I, as a 20-year veteran, can tell you, talking to drivers who drive over the road, both as owner operators and company drivers, who also have years under their belt. I talked to one driver who's been driving for 30 years and has never seen the freight this slow. The brokerage boards are at like 2% of what they would normally be. Normally you're running a 15% brokerage board because the bigger companies like JB Hunt, Swift, and it used to be US Express and Knight. Well, Swift came along and done swallowed US Express and Knight. So that's no longer the case, right? So JB Hunt is sitting. JB Hunt does a lot of train loads. That should make you aware of what's going on. Okay, I live in an area where we have one of the largest ports on the East Coast, and normally on a daily basis at that port, we'll have 3 to 4 ships, mostly from China, the Philippines, and Indonesia and India. We'll have up to 4 or 5 boats sitting at the dock being unloaded or loaded, and 1 or 2 boats out in the bay waiting to get to the dock. We're now lucky if we see 1 or 2 boats in a week. That's bad, y'all. Now, a lot of this has to do with, unfortunately, the stuff that's going on overseas as far as the Russian-Ukraine, the whole situation with the Black Sea. That's really messing up anything coming down the Black Sea. That's really messing up the freight coming out of that area. But also some of it has to do with China is holding on to their stuff. And because China's holding on to their stuff, other countries are seeing China do that, and they're doing the same thing. So that's causing us to have less freight coming into the country from overseas. Okay? And that means less freight is being transported out of warehouses. This is not just an issue just with the U.S. I want to make this perfectly clear. This issue is worldwide. This is a global issue. We now ship, our logistics system is a global logistics system right now. Okay? It is not just the USA or just Canada or just Australia or just the UK. This is worldwide. Freight is not being shipped because there is no freight. Because there's nothing growing to put into the warehouses. Therefore, there's nothing coming out of those warehouses. There's nothing coming into like the United States in order to go to warehouses to be repackaged here, because a lot of our meat is sent to China to be packaged in China and then shipped back over. Okay, well, unfortunately, if you've been paying attention, there's been a lot of issues with meat lately. We've had the swine flu go through in various areas of the world, which has decimated the pig population. It's decimated it worldwide. Okay, we're having major issues with, especially in areas like the Philippines and those type of areas, Southeast Asia. We're having issues with mad cow disease that's devastating the beef market. Now, if you're paying attention in the United States, you know that we've had several food factories that have blown up or burnt down or had accidents. I'm not going to say what's caused that. I'm just going to say that's all impacted the logistics issues that were already going on in this country. Now, before you say it, yes, every year trucking does slow down. Typically, from November until February or March, freight slows down. We go on what they call the holidays, okay? And freight really slows down. But this is the middle of May, and it has not picked up. If anything, it's actually getting worse. And I say that because what's happening now is you have owner-operators who are fighting each other for minimal freight. That means that they are literally pulling freight that from one place to another, that when they get done hauling that freight, they are actually losing money, but they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, as the saying goes. Okay, so they're running that freight because that'll get them somewhere where they think maybe they'll be in a better freight area and they can get a better load, and maybe they can make a little bit more on that load to take up for the negative on the load they just hauled. This is happening all over, okay? The smaller companies especially there's several of them that are being bought out by bigger companies. It's bad, y'all. It's bad, okay? I'm a 20-year veteran, and I tell you, I can't get more than 6 to 8 hours a day to work. Normally, this time of the year, we're running 12, 14-hour days. So, I wanted to come on here during my little lunch break, because we're required to take a 30-minute break. And so, I'm sitting here at the dock, I'm having my lunch. And I wanted to take a few minutes to address some of the things that Economic Ninja talked about. As a veteran trucker, I think that people do not realize exactly what is happening. Yes, it's hard to get pet food because pet food is made in a lot of these warehouses that burnt down. So people are having to find, especially like Purina and Nabisco, they're having to find other places to ship that freight to in order to make the products. And it's unfortunate, but it has impacted the global market. And I do not see this solving itself in a week or two. Maybe by fall it'll get better, but I really see with the increased inflation and the cost of things, I really do not see freight increasing anytime soon. So I just thought I'd come on here and tell my fellow truckers, buckle down. Save every penny you can save while you're sitting at the dock. I know it's hot. Turn the truck off. Save that couple dollars, right? Save that little few pennies that you can save. Stop eating in the truck stop. Start bringing your own food. Okay? Save those few pennies. Okay, darlings? I don't want to see y'all lose your trucks. Right? Cut what you can cut. Tighten your belts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. We saw this in 2008 through 2010. It was a bumpy ride. A lot of companies went under. I don't want to see that happen to you if you are a trucking company. If you are not involved in trucking at all, you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just tell you, the most owner-operators out here are on what we call a shoestring diet. That means one thing changes, that shoestring breaks. A lot of times they have families at home that they are responsible for all the bills of their household. If trucking stops, this country dies. That's just plain blunt to the point. If trucking stops, no food goes on the shelf, nothing comes out of the farms, no meat gets moved, no furniture gets moved. If trucking stops, this country dies. Alright, so I know that sounds a little bit dire. I'm hoping things will pick up. I'm hoping this is just an extended version of the slowdown that we see every winter. But I am telling you, I have never in my trucking career seen it this bad. All across the United States. It's not just in pockets. It's all across the United States. The freight is bad. Alright, that's what I got for you today. Bicycle.